What's up, guys? My name is Caleb, and behind me is our $3,000 Toyota Corolla. This project has been huge, way bigger than I ever expected it. There's so many things that we've replaced. I've actually got a pile of parts I'll show you guys when all this is complete of just everything that has come off of this car to make it what it is today. Now, we're still waiting on a few things. Front fenders obviously are not here yet, and there's a few parts that are coming in the mail, but it's pretty much done. Now, there is one issue. We made this car look really, really cool, and we've made it honestly drive really well too, but it sounds like a lawnmower. I mean, that's the best thing I can describe. I can describe it as, and I'll let you hear it in just a minute. So today we're going to address that issue and basically going to rebuild the entire exhaust system starting from the front. But before we do any of that, I want to show you guys what this thing sounds like. We'll start it up on a cold start. I'll run it by the camera a few times so you can hear what it sounds like on a drive-by. So we'll have kind of a baseline of what we're starting with and then what we end with. We'll probably stop halfway in the middle and let you hear that too. So it should be pretty interesting. I think it's gonna be fun. I'm really bad at like showing befores when I get so excited about making something that I forget to show the before. So here's the before, here's what the car sounds like, and hopefully by the end of this video it's gonna sound a whole lot cooler. That's the plan, just make it sound cool. Let's do it. So for the first time since installing the new carburetor and ignition system, the car is not wanting to start. It does sound like it's missing a bit, so we may address that in this video as well. I think it's going to be the spark plug wires. It's the only part of the ignition system that I haven't changed. I'll give you a couple revs. It literally smells like a boat. Any of you guys live near rivers? This thing smells like a boat. I should let it warm up first. We'll be right back. I'm gonna run it in just a minute.
Hey, what if we... Hey, I really want...
He stayed with his cousin last night, and, well, she's a girl, and so he had to borrow some PJs. So what we're dealing with here is a very muffled exhaust, and so what we're getting a lot of, we're not getting a lot of deep tones from our exhaust, but we are getting a lot of the higher pitched ones that are making it through the exhaust system. So what we're gonna do first is start at the front. So factory manifolds are made to be quiet. So this one's got a factory cast manifold that is literally designed to maximize airflow while also maximizing sound deadening, basically. So it's a compromise. I want to get rid of that compromise and just maximize airflow. More air, more loud, more fun. I was on the internet really late. Some of you guys may be able to relate to this. And this popped up on like a news feed or something, and they were selling 2TC tubular headers, I guess that's the term, or extractors, whatever you call them. I'm not sure if, here, comment below, is there a difference between headers and extractors, or does it just depend on where you live in the world? But they were selling headers on sale from $260 down to $80. So I bought them, and then I forgot I bought them. They showed up at my house the other day, and I was really stoked. So let me show you what we got here. What this is a very nice looking set of headers. I'm very excited about these. I think they're gonna be really, really awesome. They are tubular, as you can see. I'm not sure if they're equal length or not. It seems like they went out of their way to like make them all similar lengths. So I think that's supposed to be good for extraction of air. I'm not entirely sure. But the difference in this is, one, less turbulence. There's no casting marks on tubing, right? So tubing is very smooth. That means the air can flow out really fast. That one is it's a 4 into 2 into 1, the regular manifold. So your four ports go into 2 pipes that go into like a Y pipe that goes into your exhaust. This, as you can tell, whoops, that would have been bad, is a 4 into 1. We'll throw this on. We'll get some sound clips of it with an open header. the same as we just did. So starting it up, revving it, driving it up and down the street so we can have a comparison there. And then I'll take it to my muffler guy, my exhaust shop, and have him build a 2.5-inch custom exhaust. We'll probably throw one muffler in there at the end and call it a day. I think it's gonna sound really cool. Right now, the muffler that's on there is really big. It's like huge, a big oval muffler. So we'll shorten that up a good bit, add a lot of diameter to the exhaust pipe, and I think we're gonna come out with a really, really cool sound. I'm so ready to put this on. All right, so we're gonna throw this on and check out what it sounds like. I'm hoping for pops and bangs. That's the goal. If we don't get it, it's okay, but that is the goal. Let's do it. And that is what stripped threads look like. So we'll have to sort that out. Which is weird, I torqued this down to spec. They must have already been stripped out from an earlier, I don't know, an earlier situation. Anyway, keep going. All right, so here is our comparison. Instantly, I'm realizing there's a huge, huge weight savings here. This is way, way lighter. But as you can tell too, you've got here the 1-cylinder and 4-cylinder come together into this one pipe, and then the 2 and 3-cylinder come together in this one pipe, all in the manifold. Those go into like kind of a Y pipe down there, and then I just cut that off. I actually didn't realize it ran that far independent of each other, but either way, the new one, as you can tell, is a much higher flow. They all come together down here in this 4-into-1, and these runners look to be about the same diameter as these 2 runners. So basically, instead of 2 cylinders having this much space, each cylinder gets this much space, if that makes sense, for air. So it should be much faster airflow, which should result in some power increase. We won't really know until we build the engine, but we will see a definite increase in sound, and I think it's going to sound really, really cool. Another thing I found is this. So I mentioned earlier that we would do a 2.5-inch exhaust. I think that's just overkill. I'm sure a lot of you think that as well. Probably not even worth it. So it comes with this reducer that gets us from 2.5 down to 2 inches, which makes me think that the standard size for Performance 2TC is about 2 inches. What we're gonna do is we'll bolt this reducer onto here, and we'll just run it open to get to the exhaust shop, and then I'll let him build a system with new piping. Mainly because under there, it's all been stitched together. I'll pull the exhaust out in just a minute, and you'll see it looks like it's been worked on multiple times. So there's definite stitches where they've thrown in a resonator and then thrown in a muffler and changed some piping around. So we're just gonna redo it all, I think. And it should sound really great. All right, so this is the exhaust in its stock form. And I do think that this is mostly stock, mainly because this looks like a Toyota muffler. It looks really similar to the muffler that went on my brother's 86 4Runner that we did back in December. That resonator looks aftermarket. Maybe they were trying to get some of the noise down. And so they threw that in. There's stitch welds on either side of that, so it makes me think that it's probably been welded in afterwards. Overall, not a terrible looking system, but I think we can make it a lot better. So what I was gonna do is actually do some of the welding here and just start deleting stuff and seeing where it led. But looking at the system now and having to cut it to get it out, I think I am gonna take it to my shop. Before we do that though, we're gonna throw the headers on and see what it sounds like with just open headers. We may even drive it up and down the road a little bit so you guys can hear it. I think it'll sound pretty sick. So with the headers, you can hear the misfire. You hear it popping. That's the misfire I'm talking about. It happens really bad at low RPM. It makes me think that it's either the wires, maybe the plugs, they're pretty new, or it could be the distributor. But we're gonna go with wires first. We're gonna try those out because they definitely look old and we're pushing a lot more spark through them. They're probably worn out and I think that's probably what we're hearing. So we'll try that first, but I think we'll diagnose that in this video as well because it's gonna make a difference on how the exhaust sounds, but let's listen to it. So the downside to the microphone is it's likely going to pick up a lot of the higher end stuff like the rattling from that little joint and not all of the low end stuff, but this thing sounds so much deeper, like you can feel it in your chest, especially when it pops, like you can feel it. It's awesome. I love it. So I got to decide what I'm going to do about a muffler. We'll figure that out. But also, I don't have brakes on this car still. I've been driving it with the handbrake to stop. And that's not gonna work to drive it across town. So I've gotta put the front brakes back on and bleed the system. So we're gonna do that and then we'll head over to the exhaust shop, hopefully today. I hope we can make it over there today. Let's go. When I took this off, I decided it was time to just go ahead and replace the bearings in here as well. You've gotta pull the whole thing off to do it, so I decided I'd go ahead and do that, and I did not know how. So I pulled the other one off and went ahead and did it so I would know what I was doing before I try to tell you guys what's going on here. A lot of people ask me all the time, like, how did you learn to work on cars? Where did you go to school? Whatever. I didn't go to school. I just bought cars like this that needed work and then did it. You know, and it can be a frustrating way to learn, but you can learn really fast, and I think it's the most fun way to learn. So we did bearings. I think they worked. I'm gonna show you how I did them. All right, we're gonna start by pulling all the old stuff out. So this bearing just falls out. I've got a box down there that's holding everything. Then we've got a seal and another bearing there. Ooh, that grease is rough. So what we're gonna do, since I'm not using any of this stuff again, I'm just gonna grab a hammer and I'm just gonna literally destroy the seal. Yeah. Okay, one seal out. The bearing should just pop out. Now that is gross. Ah, look at this. That is disgusting. I don't even know why, like, why is it yellow? Gross. Now, there's no telling how long it's been since this has been done. That grease is black. It starts out red. It's actually got a socket on the end of it. So while I've got it here, I'm gonna take this screwdriver. It's actually got a socket on the end of it. And I'm gonna drive out the race on the other side. The race is like the second part of the bearing. It's what it sits in. There we go. See, it's just like a collar that the bearing sits in. Okay. Right, then flip it and we'll hammer out the other one. With that done, I'm gonna use some brake clean and kind of flush the inside out, get all that old grease out of the way. With the rotor off, I'm gonna clean this housing out real good, make sure there's nothing in the way, and then we will hammer this race in. All right, so next we will grab some grease. Grab some in my hand like that. I'm gonna take my bearing and pack it. Whoop. This really needs to be like in my palm. Well, I made a mess of that. I tried a different method that time than last time. It didn't quite work. Well, I guess it worked. I just, well, you know. Next, we're gonna take this grease seal, lay it down on top of here, and it's gotta be flush with the hub. So I pick one that is the size of the hub, and we will hammer this one into place. With that on, we can take our new brake rotor and install it. Now I'm using a little bit of Loctite on here. That was a lot of Loctite. Just because these are gonna wanna rust again, and the Loctite, one, will keep them in, but also make it easier to get them out in the future. And then finally, we will drop this bearing in. I waited till the end to do that one because nothing actually holds it in place. It just kind of rests there. This washer holds it in place once the bolt is back on. But with that, that's it. We're done. Brand new bearings, new rotor. Let's go finish the rest of this brake job. So you might be wondering what all of that was for. Well, as far as I can tell, you have to do that to change the brake pads out. I don't know if you've ever done brake pads, but on most modern cars, you can literally just pull them out and pop new ones in. They normally come with a spring on the back that sits into the piston and all as well. On these, I assume, I guess because it's just old tech, the brake is, or the brake pads are sprung from every single direction. Luckily, I bought a hardware kit. I just saw it on Rock Auto while I was buying parts for this car, and it looked comprehensive, so I bought it. It was cheap, and I'm really glad I did because all the parts are worn out. These brake pads have 0 life left on them. That one's got like maybe 1 millimeter. One of them though is like, yeah, this one you can see through it. It's like cracked and broken and terrible. So this should be really, really good. New rotors and new pads, and basically everything but the piston and the caliper has been replaced. So it should really drive well, but very finicky. I'm still messing with it because this outside pad is not seated properly. Or maybe it is. I don't think it is. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, I guess it is. Anyway, so very difficult. I actually, I don't know if it looked easy on video, but I did this one. I did this one last night, and I took this thing apart and put it back together 4 times before I got it right. And that's how I knew how to do this one. So I know normally at this point you would like paint the calipers a different color. I don't really need these to stand out. It's not like they're performance brakes or anything. So I hit them with some flat black or kind of a satin black before I did the rebuild, and then rebuilt them and scratched it all up. I'm just gonna remount them. If I decide I wanna paint them later, we'll pull them apart and do it again. Now I'm more concerned with them working. Speaking of them working, I got a full set of brake lines. So there's an upper and lower line on this car, and this is the lower line. It'll plug into the upper, and then that goes to the hard lines. All my lines were dry rotted. They were in about the same condition as the rest of the brake system. So we're gonna go ahead and just replace all of that as well. Full brake overhaul. It honestly should be super noticeable when I go to drive the car. So what we gotta do next is plug these calipers in, bolt them on, and then I guess we're ready to bleed them and drive it. Let's do it. So as you may be able to tell, the brakes work. When I push the brake, the car stops, and it actually stops really well. I drove it down the street though, and it pulls really hard left. So like if you let go of the steering wheel, the car just turns left. And I looked, and it looks like both of the wheels are towed out really bad, which will destroy tires. And since these tires are brand new, I don't want to risk driving on them very much, because it really will chew through the outside or the inside of the tire based on which way it's pointing. So it needs an alignment. I'm aware of that. But before I do that, I'm gonna go get the exhaust fixed because, well, it sounds cool, but it is very loud, and I don't want to run it open for too long. So we're gonna take the exhaust to get it fixed. That'll have to be in the next video because I'm gonna have to leave it there overnight. But I will show it to you guys next video. I think you're gonna like it. And then we are going to just address kind of like maintenance stuff so that I can drive this thing every day and not worry about it. I don't know if I'll show that on camera or not, but things like ball joints, fixing the rear brakes, it's kind of boring stuff to watch. So I may just do it and then show you guys the car when it's done. But overall, I'm very happy. It feels really good in here. This is the first time I've kind of gotten out in the sunlight with my new interior, and I really love the way that it came out. I'm very, very happy with it. It sounds really cool. I think the timing may be a little bit out, or it could just be that the exhaust is wide open, so it's not really wanting to run well. But I've got a bunch of maintenance parts, like I said, to put in. So we'll put those in probably off camera, and then the next time you see the car, it'll be done, and I'll hopefully be driving it every day. That's the plan. I really love it. Let's see, what else? I think that's gonna be it for this video. It wasn't what I expected. I expected to just throw the brakes on and take it to the exhaust shop. And obviously we had to rebuild basically the entire hub and brake system. But it does work really well. We bled them, they stop. This car stops better than it ever has. So now I've just got one pedal to fix. So my gas pedal now works. The brake pedal is super firm, feels really great. But the clutch pedal, let's make sure I'm not in gear. The clutch pedal is really squishy and doesn't engage, and I know why. It's the slave cylinder is leaking, and I can see it under the car. So I've got a full new clutch and slave cylinder rebuild, all that stuff, whatever. It'll fix the way the clutch feels, and the whole car should feel much better. The pedals are kind of like the steering wheel. You're touching them the entire time you're driving the car. If they feel good, the car feels good. If they feel bad, the car feels bad. So we're addressing all three pedals, and it should be really nice. All right, I am very excited. I do want to drive this thing, even though I'm just driving it to Chase's trailer. Let's take it to the exhaust shop. Hopefully the next time you see it, it will have a really sick exhaust on it, and it may even have all of the work done. We'll see. Secret words of the day, you can pick between the two words, are 210 or MG BGT. So 210 or MG BGT. You pick whichever word you like best. And maybe I will reveal what those words mean in a soon coming, hopefully next video. See you guys soon.